What's up, guys? Have probably the last video I'm gonna make for retro, as seeing as it's over in just probably 5 or 6 days. So hopefully between the 3 teams I'll have put out, you have access or feel like you jive with one of them. Before we get into this gameplay video, huge shout out to my Patreon supporters. Could not be doing this without you guys. But yeah, let's head into this gameplay video. So obviously you're gonna see Lickitung in the lead here. This is just because I have Lickitung. You can run Zangoose in the lead if you would like. Snorlax, Munchlax, honestly, any of the Lickers or Zangoose works as the lead position here. Or honestly, even a fighter to deal with some of the, because the main job of your first Pokemon is to deal with the Lickers and kind of Altaria. So Lickitung does a decent job at that. It stalls them out, and the goal here is obviously it's not an ABB team, but it can play like an ABB team, or it can play like a balanced team. We have Alolan Marowak running HEX. I think this is one of the best save switches in the meta currently. With an energy advantage, you can beat all the rest of the ghost types, which is normally what you would swap in on Fire Spin AWAC. And it can come in on the fighting types, beats all of the psychic types as well. It can put pretty big dent into the rock types, as well as being able to deal with the normal types with Fire Blast. So it kind of does have an answer for everything. Like in this video right now, you're seeing Alolan Marowak versus Vigoroth, and we landed that Fire Blast to deal a ton of damage. I do want to talk a little bit more about the closer as well. We have Shadow Hypno. Notice we're running Psychic on Shadow Hypno. This is for big neutral damage versus the Lickers as well as big neutral damage versus pretty much everything. I guess I don't usually talk about the first game. We usually just let it run. But this is another one of those games where we have this neutral backline. We have this Talonflame, and Talonflame absolutely does not like taking a Psychic, for example. We're not going to land it here, I don't think, because they still have 2 shields up, and Ice Punch is the cheaper move. But Psychic just hits harder than Shadow Ball does, just because Hypno's a Psychic type. So really the only issues you're going to have is against other Psychic types, and for the most part, people aren't going to bring Psychic types into Hypno because they are very fearful of the Shadow Ball. And Hypno generally is a Psychic type, usually deals better with other Psychic types than most Psychic types are used to. But you'll see in a lot of games, I'm going to be staying in with Lickitung and not really shielding Lickitung very much, and trying to set up a farm for Alolan Marowak or Hypno. So let's take a look. We have this game here versus Galvantula. You get to your Body Slam at the same time as Galvantula gets to a move, so there's no point just throwing it there unless you really want to get that Body Slam off. In this case, I throw my Body Slam 1 lick too late. I miscounted by a little bit, so I'm going to have to shield this lunge and throw a double debuff Body Slam instead of throwing a single debuff Body Slam. And I do have another Body Slam ready to go, but I'm going to switch into Alolan Marowak and try and farm this Galv down. Slight miscalculation, didn't quite take the Galv down before its move. That's okay. Alolan Marowak has quite a big energy lead at this point, and you're going to see how much damage these Shadow Bones can do. Or maybe we won't, and Alolan Marowak might get two shields. Yeah, it's going to get 2 shields here. So I'm not running Shadow Ball, right? So we're going to have to come back in with the Lickitung, use this Body Slam. We're not debuffed anymore. And at this point, probably let the Lickitung go down. We're going to switch into Hypno, just get this head start. I realized that their Hypno is in 4 Confusion and Ice Punch range. So all I really need to do is spend a shield on the Shadow Ball and make sure they don't catch my move. And I'll be able to take down this Hypno right before they get to their next Shadow Ball. They're at their punch right there. So in comes Talonflame, and this is what I was talking about, this big neutral damage. I don't know if this game is won with Shadow Ball, for example. But with Psychic, we're able to take this Talonflame low enough that it's actually forced to Flame Charge the Hypno instead of Brave Bird it, otherwise the Licks will take it down. And Hypno just gets to its Ice Punch at this point too. So we're able to just take down that Talonflame instead. And that's one for Psychic, where I don't think we would have won if we had Shadow Ball instead of Psychic. And that's a neutral backline. It's mainly used for stuff like Vigoroth, Lickitung, stuff like that. So Drifblim lead, this is a pretty good lead right here. We're just going to grab an absolute ton of energy on Lickitung. Don't worry about throwing charge moves in the lead. It's going to try and debuff Lickitung over and over, but we can feel free to switch at any time. They actually swap into Hypno themselves, which is great because they've used energy and I haven't. And Alolan Marowak is going to beat Hypno to charge move here. Unfortunately, this is not Shadow Hypno, so it's not going to be enough to take down Hypno. But we're going to shield that Shadow Ball right up and attempt to go for a little bit of a farm down. That was a bit quick though, I think. Hypno, and this is just, I guess, a lesson. Don't throw your punches. Keep building up to that Shadow Ball and force me to actually think about throwing a move there, because I might have thrown the Shadow Bone instead of getting another shield. Instead, Drifblim's going to come back in. This Drifblim is dry, but those hexes do add up, so we're going to throw this Shadow Bone right away, take it out, and in comes a Bomb of Snow. So this team cannot deal with Hex Marowak. The entire team loses to it, and you're going to find that's a pretty common theme when you play with this team. Hex Marowak does a lot of work. I did not expect it to be the MVP of this team. Obviously, with Lickitung being so bulky and prominent and good in this meta, I think a lot of people have started running more counters to it. Whereas Alolan Marowak generally deals with those things that counter Lickitung extremely well. So as this meta shifts, I would expect Alolan Marowak to even become a little bit better here. A Hex version at least. They make the correct play and farm all the way down. We're going to pop in with Alolan Marowak and just shield up because we got that that Hex through to win the game. Otherwise I wouldn't have shielded there, right? Save that shield for Shadow Hypno instead. Yeah, but that game we didn't even need to bring Shadow Hypno in at all. That was just a just an absolute clinic by Alolan Marowak, I think. Essentially taking out all three of those Pokemon. So Dewgong lead, another Icy Winder lead. And this is a Pokemon that the backline isn't too bad against either, but Lickitung obviously is pretty solid against Dewgong as well. They get their Icy Wind off. In this case, I did consider switching to Alolan Marowak at some point, but the thing is, switching into an Icy Winder when they have a little bit of energy is very tough. So if I'm going to switch, I'm going to wait till they throw their second one. In comes Shadow Hitmonchan at the same time. We'll let them throw a move. Shadow Hitmonchan, I don't think really runs a move that's good against Alolan Marowak. It's usually Thunder and Ice Punch. I'm assuming in this meta it's at least Ice Punch. So we're going to throw a couple more, so 3 more Hexes, right? Because that'll allow them to get 5 more counters, which is not enough for their move, and we're just going to eliminate them. And look at this. Once again, another Pokemon, or another team with 3 Pokemon that can't really deal with Alolan Marowak very well. Alolan Marowak takes out Hitmonchan, spending no shields, and grabs 2 shields from Shadow Hypno. That's honestly insane. That's honestly absolutely insane. So we're gonna go with Lickitung, absorb whatever this is. It's Thunder Punch. Throw the Body Slam. And I think we'll consider switching, just so that we do have fodder for fodder. I don't want to call my Lickitung fodder, but but something to switch into to clear the Icy Wind debuff that's gonna inevitably be coming against my own Hypno. But I don't think this battle will come to having to clear a debuff. We do have Psychic. We have Ice Punch is probably enough at this point, but we're just going to go for the Psychic for, I guess, for the content. Can't think of a good reason there. Yeah, we probably just could have Ice Punch down or just Confusion down, but it is what it is. Pretty safe matchup there. Once again, Alolan Marowak putting the team on its back. And you're going to see a lot of this. You're going to see a lot of this for sure. So Shadow Charizard lead. This is extremely spicy. Dragon Breath. Of course, it's going to be Dragon Breath to counter those Dragon users, and in comes Lickitung. So this is the thing. Lickitung's job is to take out the Lickers and the things that counter Ghosts and Psychics in the front. And because they switch into Lickitung, it's essentially doing its job right now. It needs to delete this Lickitung by itself. So this is going to be a pretty long, drawn-out match. I've got my Starbucks here, so I can just take a little break, a little relaxation while we watch this play out. This is probably the worst part of Retro, is the Lickitung mirrors. They take a long time. That is for sure. And then we're going to swap into Hypno, because it's the licks that deal extra damage to Hypno. It's not the Body Slams or anything like that. Body Slam still hurts quite a bit, but Lick is the reason that Lickitung is a Hypno counter. So they're going to come in with Charizard. We're not going to build to the Psychic. Ice Punch is going to make, or throwing right away is going to make them think it could be Thunder Punch. People love shielding their Shadow squishy Pokemon. We're going to actually no shield this, let Hypno go down, and start the farm with Marowak. So 2 shield Marowak here is pretty scary, and especially when they have a Machamp in the back. So once again, two Pokemon that Marowak deals extremely well with, and with Fire Blast, Marowak versus Lickitung is not too bad. While Lickitung deals a ton of damage with its fast move, as long as you're catching it at full health, it really has to be throwing charge moves that it can't afford to throw at you. So like Body Slam and Power Up, they're both resisted. Sorry, double resisted and single resisted. So Marowak can tank Lickitung up quite a bit. It's really stuff like Zangoose that you have to worry about. And Zangoose is probably the biggest threat to this team in general. So if you're seeing Zangooses, then it is a bit rough. So note, I did play another sets with a couple different teams due to channel point redemptions in the middle, so that's why you'll see the rating fluctuate a little bit. All these sets were played with me sitting just under 3,200, I believe. Rating. So Regirock lead. This is where I learned the Regirock Lickitung matchup a little bit. So they're throwing Stone Edges. It's not really a bait. I think throwing Focus Blast against Lickitung is a mistake. While it deals a ton of damage, you still need 2 moves to take it out. So this player knows that they just need to throw 2 Stone Edges. They come in with the Hypno, which is not exactly the counter that you would want. But because I was slow on the switch, I decided to go for the catch play instead. We're going to catch that Ice Punch on Marowak, which is a pretty big deal. And we're going to get this Shadow Bone 1 turn before they get to their Shadow Ball. Throw it, see what they feel like doing. They feel like letting all that energy go down. And obviously Regirock will probably be coming back in. This is a Pokemon that Marowak does not deal that well with, but the Hex version is miles better than the Fire Spin version. We're going to be able to throw off some pretty big Shadow Bones here. It's not going to be enough to take out the Regirock, but I do decide to shield my Marowak, keep it alive, and guess what? We have this Frostlass in the back. Frostlass, much better against the Hex version than the Fire Spin version, but you still have to watch out for these Shadow Bones. I'm going to build up a little bit more and switch out. Frostlass does have to throw a move at Hypno here to take it out, and it's all up to how this player plays it at this point in time. They have to manage their energy extremely carefully here, but actually never mind, I forgot I switched out with that much energy on Lickitung. We're just going to hit it with a Power Whip and it's game over. Sorry, misled you guys a little bit. Yeah, this actually, I don't think this team has lost so far in these videos. This team is definitely capable of losing. I'm sure we'll see some losses coming right up. Drifblim lead, very comfortable, and once again, right into Machamp. And this was a bad switch. This was a disaster. Sorry, I was just used to safe swapping my Marowak. I was not really paying attention. They came in with the Machamp, and you should be going into Hypno with this. But usually when they switch in Shadow Machamp, there usually is a another fighter in the back, and Marowak slightly outpaces Machamp to Rock Slide, so we're going to be able to get our second Shadow Bone off and take out that Machamp, winning the Zero Shield and Switch advantage, and being able to beat Drifblim to the all-important move. So once again, Alolan Marowak good against, I'm assuming, all 3 of the Pokemon here. I decided to no-shield this, I believe, and they're baiting with the Icy Wind, so we're going to grab a little bit more energy and see what they have in the back. It's a Vigoroth. This is not ideal. I go for the Fire Blast here. The correct play is probably just to switch out into Shadow Hypno. But it is what it is. They don't shield. Nobody has shielded a Fire Blast on me so far. I guess not a lot of people are expecting it. But they also go for the Bulldoze, so I think they understand the game is over and they're just messing around. Yeah, once again, I guess, yeah, another game where Marowak has played against all 3 Pokemon. This is tough for Marowak, but luckily Marowak's not in the lead. We have Lickitung to absorb all this damage. Gliscor deals quite a bit of damage, but Lickitung is just so tanky, it should win most of these neutral matchups. And even though I know they farmed up to a Earthquake, I'm not going to shield. There's no point shielding. I can still win this matchup in the zeros. If they shield, I don't mind winning the zero or losing the 0v1 as well. They come in with Metacham, and I'm going to switch out right away. And guess what? This is probably the hardest countered Pokemon in the game by Alolan Marowak. It's Alolan Marowak itself, but Fire Spin version, oh man, this is just a disaster. Even if it baits you with Bone Club, you outpace it. So even if it's doing its best to bait you, not only are you ticking it down quite a bit faster with your own fast move, but you're also just guaranteed to beat it to charge moves. So I don't feel bad shielding up here, shielding a couple Shadow Bones, farming up a little bit more. Actually, I could have farmed up quite a bit more, but there's no reason to. They have a Metacham in the back, and my Hypno can already deal with that Metacham without Marowak's help, so it's not too big of a deal here. I think Marowak lives a Psychic anyways. Yeah. So Marowak just deletes an entire backline yet again. Honestly, I should have had a counter on this video. How many Pokemon does Marowak actually KO? I mean, it doesn't quite get the last hit on this Metacham, but I feel like it's doing well over 150% of its own health every time. Next game versus Zooter. See what we have for our lead here. Here's a Hypno lead, another pretty solid lead. And here we have the Regirock switch in. So once again, this is a lead that I kind of have to deal with Lickitung. We'll see if they actually go for the Focus Blast. They do this time. But the thing is, if they go for the Focus Blast, I'm able to outpace them to some pretty important moves. If they had just gone double Stone Edge, they would be at it already. But they're not. And I'm going to shield rare shield spent on the Lickitung here. Just going to farm down. I do have a Body Slam stored, so it's kind of a big deal to keep that. Deals a decent amount of damage. Especially with this Hypno coming back in. So 3 licks and a Body Slam is nothing to scoff at here. And we don't quite get to that Body Slam. But I did want to line up the Alolan Marowak versus the Hypno. But unfortunately, their game plan was very, very strong. And I started actually, after this game, I took their game plan a bit and applied it to this team going forward. So what they did was, I had generally been switching out of these bad leads, playing sort of more ABB. And this was the turning point where I was like, wait a second. I need to just let my Lickitung go down and get a farm off on Hypno. Because they got a farm off on Hypno, and there was nothing I can really do at all with the shield disadvantage and Hypno with some energy already. So I started employing that tactic a little bit, and we're going to see how that works out in some of these games. Obviously Zangoose, like I mentioned earlier, is really tough for this team. So not surprised that with that in the back, especially, we couldn't win this one. Pelipper in the lead. Didn't expect to see a Pelipper. Those are usually just an open Great League, but Lickitung has a very comfortable matchup versus Pelipper as well. In the zeros, ones, whatever, you just outbulk them and you slightly behind them in pace, but not enough that the 2 shield allows them to get to an extra move. So we're gonna get to our second one here. They're already at their second Weather Ball, so I'd be very surprised if they don't shield. At this point, this is fine. They hit me with the Hurricane, that's fine. But they're gonna smartly throw 2 Weather Balls instead. And now we're going to employ the same strategy that was just used against us. Throw a couple confusions. 2 shield to 1 advantage with Hypno with 2 confusions of energy is pretty scary. We're already at the Ice Punch against Dragonair. Yeah, spending a shield or not spending a shield here is pretty mad. I know it's an Aqua Tail, so we can live it, but it all depends on what's in the back. And this time it's Politoed. So Politoed, worst case scenario, I cannot believe they're running an ABA line. This team doesn't really make a ton of sense to me, but it is what it is. It does seem to clearly be working for them, and I really should have thrown the Ice Punch right away, because then I could have gotten 2 Ice Punches off, and that's probably all I would need. Going for the Psychic was a bit of a trap, and I fell for it. But they still do have to hit me with 3 Weather Balls here, because I can shield 1. I thought I was CMP tied here, but we'll see if I'm actually CMP tied or not. I am, but the thing is they still have Pokemon in the back with a little bit of health. It's a Dragonair, and I should have just charged up a little bit more because this Dragonair is going to get just to an Aqua Tail. So a little bit of misplays on my part, getting used to this new strategy, right, that we're employing. Obviously it didn't work this time, but I think it is the play in a lot of these games. Yeah, did tank a little bit of rating between these 2 sets based on some viewer recommended teams and just having some fun. Alright, so Shadow Hypno in the lead. Here we go. We'll see what they want to do. They will switch out to Lickitung. Oh boy. Really wish there's a fast forward button here. But yeah, this matchup is going to play out exactly like you'd expect. They have a Hypno in the back now, and it's kind of important for me to line up my Marowak against that Hypno and kind of sacrifice my own Hypno's HP. So this time I actually switch a little bit earlier into my own Hypno, realizing that, hey, if I can get a farm, I can probably even force a shield, or I don't even need to take this Lickitung down. I'm just sacrificing my Hypno, essentially, at this point. I'll throw my Ice Punch because I have it, and they might want to shield. Nope, they don't. And we'll see what they come in with next. It is going to be the Hypno, so they're going to be the one getting the farm this time. But a little bit more of an exciting way to play this game. This Hypno is loaded a little bit though, but we do have 2 good Hypno counters. I decided to go in with Marowak and try and get a really big farm for whatever's in the back. But unfortunately it's Zangoose, so we're just going to lose this one, I think. Zangoose outpaces Lickitung. If it baits properly, Lickitung is in some real trouble. I probably should have thrown the first Body Slam. Should wait till they throw close combat. But I correctly call the bait, which is very important to try and win this game. But the problem is, if they just keep baiting, or if they just keep baiting, then I am in some issues as well, because one wrong call means my Lickitung goes down. So it really is a pretty tough game here. And then I make the swap into Alolan Marowak. This is a losing play. I should not have made this play. This is like the guaranteed loss play, because you switch in and you just give Zangoose a little bit of free farm. And yeah, my Lickitung's not going to be able to race this Zangoose to a close combat anymore. And it's going to be able to take Lickitung out. Yeah, Zangoose definitely a problem for this team. You're seeing a lot of Zangoose. You're going to be in for a little bit of a rough ride. You can definitely deal with it. It just takes a team effort. Deoxys lead. We're going to swap right into Hypno because Marowak deals with Deoxys better. And we're going to be met with Dewgong. They're swapping right away too. So that makes me think they're running ABB as well. Well, I'm not running ABB, but they're swapping Deoxys out of Lickitung. It's slightly Deoxys favored. We're going to go for the Psychic against the Dewgong. This is definitely much better than the Shadow Ball. It allows me to put Dewgong in Ice Punch range. Almost. Not really. But now Dewgong is definitely in farm range for... oh wait, no. What? Oh, they undercharged. They undercharged their Icy Wind, I guess, to try and get some extra energy off. But that turns out to be a pretty costly mistake, right? Because we have a Alolan Marowak here. We're going to shield up. First one, it's a Rock Slide. You can tank a Rock Slide. It's not too big of a deal, but I just feel like it's much less likely for them to bait that first one. And in comes Regirock. So this is still really tough. This is a really tough game. Regirock with the shield advantage is pretty incredible. They go for the Focus Blast, which actually gives me some hope to win this game. If they just went for just Stone Edges, I think I would have lost for sure. And they actually no shield. They no shield the Body Slam, which puts me in pretty tough here. And I don't think this is a winnable game anymore. Probably should have thrown the Shadow Bone right away to try and get the defense draw. Yeah. We're just gonna GG out there. That Regirock hiding in the back was quite tough to deal with, and very interesting that they did switch out of that Lickitung matchup. So Shadow Dusclops lead. We've seen this before into Altaria, and with the Altaria switching, we're gonna go right into Hypno. No messing around. If you swap fast enough, you win every shield scenario with Shadow Hypno. So as long as you have Ice Punch, of course, you have to be running Ice Punch for this. But we're just gonna shield up, match shields every time they do. They might be able to get the first Sky Attack before you, and that's, I think, the Altaria's best place to get to the Sky Attack, throw it, and then no shield Ice Punch. But in this case, we're going to be able to trade shields. And they're going to have one shield remaining, but we do have a Lickitung locked into the Dusclops, which I think is worth the one shield disadvantage. Vikoroth in the back, we're going to have to go straight for the Fire Blast here. This is still a pretty tough game. So this was the importance of Switch. I actually went back to try and click on the Shadow Bone in hindsight, but luckily, game knew better than me. Threw the Fire Blast straight up, and they are going to need to throw a Bulldoze still to take me out, but they're just going to throw a Body Slam. It's not enough damage. We're going to farm up a little bit more. Throw this Shadow Bone, undercharged a little bit because I think I wanted one more Hex through, but they actually shield. So I'm gonna save my Marowak there. I'm gonna throw this Power Whip, CMP tie with an Ice Punch. But yeah, this doesn't deal very much damage, but I just need to exit this matchup with enough energy for a body slam for this Vigoroth. And enough health to survive a body slam as well, because they did switch with some energy. So Lickitung looking decently healthy right now. That's not going to be enough damage. Vigoroth, I'm sorry. But in this body slam trade, Lickitung is going to be the winner. I think, yeah. Unless I missed 90% of the bubbles. We're going to be able to win that matchup as well. So going down the shields against Altaria, it is kind of sad, but at the same time, keeping Switch in such a positive lead like that is very important. Shadow Machamp in the lead, we're going to switch to Marowak, and this is actually pretty common when Shadow Machamp switch in. I have seen a lot of Shadow Machamps just stay in versus Alolan Marowak, because usually the backline is also really weak. Somehow they managed to switch out of that TMP, what I thought was a CMP tie. That's okay. We won't let the game and the dumb mechanics and my ability to actually not hit the bubbles because the tracer wasn't following my finger. That's okay too. We have a pretty dominant matchup until this Crest actually revealed that they have Future Sight. So I never shield anything from Crest, but Future Sight Crest is pretty strong in this meta. They're going to come back in with the Machamp, which is a little bit of... It's an interesting choice. But I do have the Hypno in the back to deal with this, and Frostlass comes in as well. So Frostlass versus Lickitung. My Lickitung is bulky enough that can tank 2 avalanches. Not comfortably. It would definitely get Powder Snow down afterwards. But we're going to throw this Power Whip straight up. In hindsight, potentially a Body Slam might have been a little bit better. Just to guarantee the win. They somehow get a free Powder Snow and I don't get to attack during it. And then they throw their charge move. So, oh no, wait. I am intentionally not attacking because I don't want their Machamp to get any farm at all. And that's just the safer play. Alright, there's been so much lag, it's hard to tell what I'm doing on purpose and what the game is just forcing me to miss. But yeah, lag has been at an all-time bad recently, at least for me. I won't say all-time actually, but the Altaria lead. Actually, this is the first one we see in these sets. This is kind of where you want to see it. We're going to throw some slams. Usually we'll throw 2 body slams, because they'll throw the second or their first sky attack at around that time. For some reason, Altaria players like to do that. But yeah, we're going to throw that slam, see what they want to do. If they want to shield, that's fine. If not, that's also fine. And then we can win the 1 shield here if we want. But I've started trying to play this more as a balanced team. We're going to let them take out Lickitung, and Hypno's going to be able to farm down. And look, this is the scenario we were talking about earlier. I've gotten better at it. In comes Deoxys. This is weird. People don't bring Deoxys into loaded Hypnos normally, right? Doesn't really make a lot of sense, so we're going to swap right out into Alolan Marowak. We have a shield advantage, might as well spend that now. On the Rock Slide, and in comes Frostlass, so... Yeah, I guess they were trying to tank the Shadow Ball on Hypno and have their Frostlass carry, but... Yeah, bit of a sketchy play. Usually people won't be bringing those Psychic types into Hypno, so you won't be really missing that, that Shadow Ball. And then against Ghost Pokemon, like squishy Ghost Pokemon like Frostlass, you kind of want to be, or you don't need Shadow Ball to take it out. Psychic does enough damage. So it's really, you're just missing out on it for stuff like Dusclops, which you're not going to be able to get to your move anyways. Even Alolan Marowak doesn't like to take a Psychic. Not tanky enough. You're really just missing out on it versus the Psychic types. I honestly believe that Psychic is an extremely underrated charge move for Hypno in a lot of these cup formats, especially where Dark is banned, or Kanto Cup where Dark isn't that plentiful. I think it's honestly a really good choice. But yeah, so that's the video. We have another shortish one today. I think those have been going over pretty well with you guys, especially in this limited cup experience where we don't have weeks to learn every single matchup, right? I think this works pretty decently. I really like this team, actually. I've used this this backline. I don't know if it looks familiar to you guys. Those of you who've been following my videos for a long time might remind you of a certain Kanto Cup team, probably my most successful one, back when Kanto Cup was rated back in the day. Had me first page on the leaderboards by the end of it, with Wigglytuff in the lead instead. So very similar concept to that backline. Instead, there's no darks that you're baiting out with Alolan Marowak, so it does play a little bit more like a balanced team. But obviously, Alolan Marowak and Shadow Hypno have great synergy in the back. But yeah, so that's the video. As usual, I'll keep putting my bio etc. in the description. And as always, guys, thanks for watching.